The Anglo-Boer War, 1899 to 1902, South Africa. For the first time, the British was faced with a brutal new war strategy from their enemy, the Boers. Despite being outnumbered and outgunned, the Boers used their mobility, knowledge of the terrain, and hit-and-run strategies to great success. After the British captured the Boer capitals and dispersed their conventional armies, the Boers took to the hills, forming small, highly mobile commando units. They used this knowledge to launch surprise attacks and ambush British patrols. One of the key elements of their strategy was to avoid pitched battles with the British. Instead, they struck fast and hard and then vanished before the British could reinforce their positions. This was made easier by the rugged terrain of South Africa, which provided plenty of natural cover. For instance, the Boers would use hills called kopjes to stay concealed while they fired down on the British troops below, or they would utilize riverbeds. Another important aspect of their tactics was attacking the British from the rear and harassing them continuously. This was intended to stretch the British resources thin and force them to confront Boer forces on their own terms. As a result, the Boers often targeted railways, communication networks, and resource depots, disrupting the British supply and communication lines. This also forced the British to adopt a defensive posture, which the Boers then exploited to their advantage. Furthermore, the Boers lived off the land and relied on the support of locals who were sympathetic to their cause. Each commando operated in its home district, so they were supported by local farmers who provided them with food, water, and intelligence on the British. Despite these setbacks, the British were able to implement effective countermeasures, such as building blockhouse systems along roads and railways to protect their supply lines. Additionally, they employed scorched earth policies, destroying Boer farms and crops to deny food and resources to the guerrillas. The British also used internment camps to detain Boer civilians in an attempt to cut off the guerrillas from their support base. However, these measures failed to stop the Boer guerrillas, who continued to operate in the countryside and inflict casualties on the British forces. Prominent Boer leaders such as Christian de Wet, Koos de la Rey, Louis Botha, and Jan Smuts masterfully directed these guerrilla operations. Their goal was to prolong the conflict and inflict enough damage on the British to force them to the negotiating table. Although ultimately the Boers lost the war, it was the British most costly war ever.